Today we are discussing the most important economy topics for your coming prelims. Okay, so since you are having nearly 125 days, we thought, in order to benefit you, that we have decided to release the important topics at the earliest. Okay, so since economy is a very important core subject for your prelims, and mostly many of the current affair questions are coming from economy, we have decided to release these videos. Okay, now try to understand that in today's session we will be releasing the part 1. Okay, you will be having 2 more part. Okay, so we have in today's session we have selected very important topic which I will discuss. Okay, so try to understand that this today's session is not an exhaustive list. You will be having 2 more part which will be released in the coming maybe after 30 days you will be having part 2, and another 15 days you will be having part 3. Okay, so that you can plan your preparation accordingly. And we also have one important news to convey to you. IAS have launched its app and it is now available in the Google Play Store. It is also available, the link to download the app is available in this video description. And our premier current affair course, Current Affair Plus 2021, will be available in our app from 25th February onwards. We hope that our app and our Current Affair Plus course will be helpful for you in qualifying your prelims. Okay, now coming back to the important economy topics. Okay, in today's session, I will be discussing only the most important economy topic from a core area, that is money and banking. All the important topics which we will be discussing today will be from money and banking. Now, why I choose money and banking? Okay, why I am giving so much of importance to money and banking in economy is that it's because UPSC gives very high importance to this section. Okay, now you will understand it when you look into the previous year questions being asked from money and banking. So if you look into the trend from 2011, from the year 2011 to the year 2020, in this 10-year trend, the 10-year trend shows that, okay, in the 10-year, there have been 47 questions from money and banking alone. So on an average, you can say that nearly 5 questions you can expect from money and banking. Especially in the last 3 years, that is in 2018, 19 and 2020. The questions in 2018, they asked 7 questions from money and banking. In 2009, they asked 6 questions from money and banking. And in 2020, they asked 7 questions from money and banking. So some students may have doubt. Is it true? Whether I am talking truth regarding so much of questions from money and banking? It can be proved only if you verify the UPSC question paper. Okay? So all these questions, all these 47 questions year-wise from money and banking, we are attaching with this video description. Also, it is available in our IAS website. It will be available very soon in our mobile app, as well as it is available in our Telegram channel. Okay, one more request we want to suggest is that all the updates regarding economy we will be sharing in our public channel, IAS Economy Prelims. You can just search the Telegram channel, IAS Economy Prelims. It's a public channel. Join it to know about all the updates regarding economy. Okay, so I just before discussing the important current affair topics from money and banking, I just want to show you the topic being asked from money and banking in these 10 years. In the year 2020, UPSC have asked questions questions from this area, from the concept of money supply, from the concept of non-financial debt, from the concepts of expansionist monetary policy, from a question was asked from District Central Cooperative Bank, they asked a question from cyber insurance, they asked a question from interest coverage ratio, they asked a question from money market, they asked in the money market, it was a good question, 4 statement question, they asked question on commercial paper, certificate of certificate of deposit, call money, zero coupon bond, etc. So these were the 7 questions were asked from the money and banking. If you want to know the questions, you can just download the file from the video description. Now in the year 2090, they asked the question from intercreditor agreement, bank board bureau, they asked a question from lead bank scheme, they asked a question from assets of a commercial bank, they asked a question on storage of payment system data, money multiplier. Now, before discussing the topic of other years, try to understand UPSC in the recent year is giving importance both to current affair as well as concepts. Simply studying current affairs of economy will not help you to score very good in economy. You are supposed to know all the concepts related with economy. If your concepts, all the conventional areas, if you know all the concepts only, you can score well in current affairs. Okay, so be very clear, the conceptual question or the conventional question as well as current affair is equally important. UPSC is giving equally importance in the recent year. In the year 2018, UPSC asked question from merchant discount rate, public sector banks, legal tender money, government securities, National Payment Corporation of India, capital adequacy ratio, BEAM app. In the year 2017, questions are scheme for sustainable structuring of stressed assets, National Payment Corporation of India, Monetary Policy Committee, Unified Payment Interface and Small Finance Bank. In the year 2016, they asked payment banks question, core banking solution, marginal cost of funds based lending rate. In the year 2015, they asked question related with Basel III, monetary policy, statutory liquidity ratio. In the year 2014, questions were from marginal standing facility, business correspondent, statutory reserve requirement. In the year 2013, there were 7 questions. Questions were from liquid assets, open market operation, priority sector lending, NABARD, RBI, bank rate, money supply. And in the year 2012, UPSC again asked questions related with money supply, lead bank scheme, again questions from RBI. And in 2011, there were questions from teaser loan, commercial bank and bank rate. By looking into these last 10-year questions, one thing is very clear. UPSC is asking questions both from conventional areas as well as current affairs. See, in this session, we are discussing only important current affair topics. But that alone is not sufficient. Along with current affairs, you have to cover all the conventional areas from all the economic topics, core topics, including money and banking. Now let's see the important current affair topics from money and banking. Okay. First is bad bank. Okay. See, here in this session, I am not discussing in detail the concept. It is just giving you an awareness. Okay. You are supposed to know all these topics. Okay. Without knowing these topics, without preparing these topics, you should not attempt prelims, especially from economy. If anyone who prepare all the important current affair topics, plus a person who have covered the entire conventional areas of economy, especially those areas where UPSC gives so much of importance, then definitely that student will get around 40 marks, means only through economy. Only because of economy you can get around nearly 40 marks, because on an average from economy you get 25 questions, and if you study in a proper way, the success rate of economy is also very high. Okay, so by keeping in mind, you keep this in mind. Okay, so there are many reasons why I have chosen these topics. Okay, it is because of it was in current affair and it was in news recurrently, and the way UPSC asks question every year is based on a trend, is based on a pattern. So based on that pattern only we have picked up this topic. Okay, so bad bank, it was in news and also it was mentioned in our budget. Okay, then privatization of banks. Okay, the government have recently announced privatization of banks, and to do that we have to amend our bank nationalization laws. Then there have been public sector mergers have happened in the year 2020. So you are supposed to know currently how many public sector banks are there and what are the big mergers happened in the year 2020. Then recently the government have allowed the retail investors to participate in government securities market, and the RBI have launched a platform what is called as Retail Direct. Okay, so that is very important for you. Then a very conventional area, cash reserve ratio, but have become a current affair because after the lockdown, RBI have reduced the cash reserve ratio to 3%. After a very long gap, this was happened, and recently RBI have said that from this March 2021 onwards, slowly RBI will bring back the CRR back to a normal 4% in 2 stages. So because of that, the concept of cash reserve ratio is very important. Already UPSC have asked a question from it earlier also. And recently RBI have issued a guidelines to check the risk base of especially NBFCs and housing finance companies. So this RBI's risk based audit is very important. And in this budget, the finance minister have announced a new development financial institution, what is called as National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development. So this development financial institution is very important for your prelims. Then there have been lot of news associated with Urban Cooperative Bank, and in 2020 there have been a question from District Central Cooperative Bank, so you need to know the connection. Okay, so cooperative banks is getting so much of importance. So this year Urban Cooperative Banks is in news for many reasons, and recently also RBI have set up an expert committee to bring reforms in the Urban Cooperative Bank. So in that way, all the features of Urban Cooperative Bank is very important for you. Also, the government have announced that the government will be coming with an official cryptocurrency monitored under RBI. So that in that way, cryptocurrency as a concept is very important. And RBI also have introduced this concept very recently, positive pay system as well as truncation system related with the checks. So both these topics are very important for you. Then there have been lot of reforms in the public sector insurance firm, okay, in the budget, in the last year budget also, and as well as in this year budget. So you are supposed to know which all public sector insurance firms are there, what are their features, which public sector insurance firm is having profit like that, and which public sector insurance firm is the government is planning to privatize. All these information you are supposed to know. And you know that this inflation targeting concept is very important, and recently RBI have said that in the year 2021 the inflation target will be reviewed. Okay, so in that way this inflation targeting is very important. Recently RBI have issued a draft guideline on credit default swap. So because of that, UPSC can ask a question, conventional question on credit default swap. And insolvency and bankruptcy code, very important, very important. It's a huge, big topic. It have been in use for quite long time, and after lockdown the insolvency and bankruptcy code was suspended for a year, and very soon in March that suspension will be taken off. And along with that, there have been lot of amendments in the insolvency bankruptcy code in the last few years. So all those important amendments are important. As well as recently the Supreme Court have come with a ruling on the section 32A of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So all those, you have to comprehensively study Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. And Economic Survey have discussed in very detail about Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So there's a chance that you will get a question from Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. And in order to control the bond yield, the government yield, as well as to control the money supply, the RBI is conducting many open market operation. As a part of bringing down the government yield, RBI have introduced a new monetary tool, what is called as Operation Twist, which is nothing but a special open market operation. So you are supposed to know what is the difference between a normal open market operation as well as Operation Twist. Both are in use continuously. Then we know that the government is borrowing very high in this coming financial year as well as the next financial year. So the yield curve concept is very important, because yield curve influence the yield of the government, okay, as on government securities. And then because of the movement in the yield curve, you can expect a question on bond price and bond yield concepts. Many of these concepts is it's available in our YouTube. I have released quite long back many of these conceptual questions. Conventional areas I have concept on bond price and bond yield. I already discussed few years back. It is available in YouTube. Then external benchmark based lending, the concept of external benchmark based lending, especially the repo linked lending rate is very important for you. And this as part of once the lockdown was announced, RBI have reduced the repo rate drastically, and now repo rate is at a very low level of 4%, and reverse repo is at a very low level of 3.35%. And RBI have recently conducted a lot of auctions, reverse repo auctions, and because of all these things, they can ask question related with the repo concept of repo as well as reverse repo. And also the RBI have made some modifications to marginal standing facility very recently. So you are supposed to know about that particular concept also. And we know that already the questions on payment bank and small finance bank UPSC have already asked. But there have been some changes or some updates regarding the small finance bank and payment bank. So that makes these topics very important for you. And recently, as part of lockdown, the government have reduced the liquidity coverage ratio to 80%. So they can ask a question on liquidity coverage ratio. Similarly, there have been some announcement by RBI regarding capital conservation buffer as well as counter-cyclical capital buffer. These were in news. Okay, RBI have taken many measures. Especially in the last year after the lockdown. So these were the area which have come in news. Then a new monetary tool used by RBI is dollar rupee swap. So you need to know the concept of how this dollar rupee swap helps in controlling the money supply and other related goal of the RBI. Then because of the Yes Bank failure as well as many other reasons, okay, this additional tier 1 bond is very important. Then RBI have introduced a new monetary policy tool, what is called as long-term repo ratio, targeted long-term repo ratio, and then on-tap targeted long-term repo ratio. Okay, so you can expect a question on from it. Okay, then the SARFAESI Act they're having in news. Okay, then this Indian Railway Finance Corporation IPO have made this Indian Railway Finance Corporation, which is an NBFC, a completely government-owned NBFC. So you are supposed to know the specialty of Indian Railway Finance Corporation. And recently the RBI have discontinued the 7.75% saving bonds. So that makes this topic very important. You should know the features of this bond, saving bond. Then you know that after lockdown, RBI have announced many moratorium scheme as well as interest waiver schemes. You are supposed to know all those schemes, their features. And there have been news related with the post office savings scheme, including the public provident fund, etc. Okay, so you are supposed to know all the major schemes of post office savings scheme as well as what is the current interest rate, how the interest rate of the post office saving instrument is linked with the government securities, etc. Then partial credit guarantee scheme. Partial credit guarantee scheme is very important. Then fully accessible route. All are the concepts introduced by RBI very recently. Then we know that RBI on a regular basis is transferring its profit to government every year. So this RBI surplus transfer or the concept of RBI reserves, what all things are there in the RBI reserves have become very important. And there have been a lot of current affair related with housing finance companies as well as regarding its development financial institution, National Housing Bank, that makes both National Housing Bank and the recent guidelines on housing finance companies by RBI. You are supposed to know that. Okay, these areas have become very important. Before the lockdown, RBI have come up with a revised framework for resolution of stressed assets. So this RBI revised framework is very important. Then recently, that means in before the lockdown, RBI have increased the deposit insurance from 1 lakh to 5 lakh. So because of that, this corporation, Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, have become very important. Then recently RBI have set up this advisory board for banking frauds. And recently RBI announced that from the coming financial year onwards, RBI is going to change its financial year. Earlier financial year was, RBI financial year starts from 1st July to 30th June. Now it will be like our normal financial year from 1st April to 31st March. So they can ask a question regarding the changes in the RBI financial year. Then as part of lockdown, the RBI allowed the government to borrow more from RBI, what is called as ways and means advances. Already that video on ways and means advances is in news. Okay, means the public video, I have shared it. Okay, so in the second half of this financial year 2021, RBI allowed the central government to borrow around 1.25 lakh crore, which is one of the highest RBI have allowed to the central bank to borrow from RBI for the 6 months period. Then the concept of monetary policy transmission is very, very important. Okay, economic survey have discussed in detail regarding this monetary policy transmission. Then both the economic survey have discussed, as well as it was in news, this concept of digital payment index. It is also mentioned in the economic survey. And also you are supposed to know what are the systematically important banks in India, as well as the importance of this systematically important banks. And Basel III norms was in news. Okay, so you're supposed to know regarding all the Basel III norms and when the RBI is going to implement these 3 norms. Okay, and already India was having high non-performing assets, especially after the lockdown. The non-performing assets have increased a lot. So they can ask a question or conceptual or current affair question from non-performing assets. Okay, and there have been the concern regarding the zero coupon bonds issued by the government to recapitalize the public sector banks. So because of that, they can either ask question regarding public sector bank recapitalization or zero coupon bonds. And especially after the merger, a mega merger of public sector banks, okay, when 6 banks were merged with other banks, okay, so when they cease to exist as a public sector bank, they have to be removed from the second schedule of the RBI Act, because now they are not a scheduled commercial bank. So because of that, this second schedule of RBI Act have become very important for you. And there have been a concern, okay, RBI is facing a new challenge in the form of impossible trinity. So they can ask you what is this impossible trinity or trilemma. So that concept related question can be asked. There are other topics also regarding with money and banking. Okay, so see, I have covered the news till February 15th only, from January 2020 onwards. So, but you are supposed to know the news up till March 30th. So I told in the coming videos, the updates will be there regarding any new money and banking topics. As well as there is an exclusive chapter on money and banking in the economic survey. You have to completely go through those economic survey. And any new topics which come across, will definitely inform you through our Telegram channel also. I told you there are 2 more parts of important important economic topics will be released very soon. Okay, so be updated. So the purpose of releasing video at so early is that, so early in the sense that there are still more than 125 days is there for your coming prelims. You have the time to prepare these topics. Okay, so those who are finding economy difficult, definitely all these current affairs as well as all the conventional topics of economy we will be covering in our speed economy course, which is an exclusive economy prelims course. In that course we will help you to score nearly 40 marks in economy, which will be a crucial factor in qualifying your prelims. Okay, we will always be there to support you and make this subject an easy subject for you. Okay, so make sure that you utilize it. And one more time, we have just reminding you that Neo IAS app is available in the Google Play Store as well as it is available in the video description. Also look into the previous year questions. Join our public Neo IAS Economy Prelims Telegram channel to know all the further updates on a daily basis regarding economy. Thank you.